is Ross Payton with Roleplaying Public Radio, and this is RPPR episode 114, Create a Cthulhu. And with me, not as always, Caleb, because Tom is on vacation.
Do I have to mock your advancer?
You do you, and I'll do me.
Okay, that sounds good.
You know, if it doesn't work with you, it doesn't work. So, you know, you need your own shtick.
I've only known announcer voice. It's all I know. I know no other world.
Exactly.
I can't critique it. It is the air I breathe.
This is like
nice water today. What's water?
Yeah,
it says this fish.
It's getting really deep, like critical theory all of a sudden. Like
in Plato's cave, all we have is announcer voice.
All right. In this episode, we're going to be using the horror role-playing game Silent Legions to randomly generate some Cthulhian-esque monsters, entities, gods, and whatnot. To basically, the whole premise of Silent Legions is to create your own mythos, essentially. So people
from tables. So many tables.
Yes, it's an OSR style game. And we'll also review it, talk a little bit about the game itself. And I just thought it would be fun, sort of a creative writing exercise. And the whole point of the game was like, you know, if you know you've been playing too many Cthulhu games when you recognize a star vampire, because, invisible, sucked blood out, multiple suction wounds. We know what to do. Get the elder signs and dynamite out. We'll be fine. So that's to help break up that
if only someone had written a book of scenarios designed exclusively for that was available for purchase, or even not for purchase, just for free.
Pay what you want.
If only someone had done
it would have to be in a very dark and depressing point of history.
Yeah, exactly. Man,
economically depressed.
Blazing trails.
Yeah. Keep pulling those strings there, Puppet Master. See how well that works out for you. So, first off, we have a bit of news, of course. There for the RPPR Patreon backers, I thought of a new benefit for those at the $10 level and higher, and that will be we have too many APs. We have an embarrassment of riches, and the campaign, you know, and the cycle has been campaign A, campaign B, one shot, and the campaigns obviously have to go in order because we're not in non-linear time yet. But the one shots, they're sort of up to me what to post first. But we have.
They're totally up to you.
They are,
and you are capricious.
I'm sorry. It's just, but
somebody runs a game. Is like, I'm posting that next week. Yeah. Like, that was my first game. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's cool. We have a really quick turnaround time. Nope. That's not how the other games went.
Well, there's a backlog. So right now, I will create a list of the current one-shots, best of the one-shots, I think, that we have in the queue right now. There's like 8 of them, and you guys will get to vote on which one will be posted next. We have everything from Trail of Cthulhu, a British 1930s Agatha Christie style mystery.
That's my vote. I'm not giving you any money.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. There's also Caleb ran the Plays the Thing, where we did Macbeth with
Please don't vote for that.
with a bouncy castle, among other changes, slight creative changes.
Bouncy castle upon Inverness.
Yes,
on the moors,
on the moors,
because it floats.
Dungeon Crawl Classic. There's another peasant meat grinder with Sean and Anne. Sean was so happy to have his peasants. He ran his characters out to get murdered. Like,
why would you do anything else?
Well, exactly. He got the spirit of the game. So I think a few more survived than last time, than the first one.
But the Sean character, I like the cut of his jib.
So I will post the list of them, and you guys will get to vote. I will tally the votes when I'm about to post the next game, and the one that gets the most will win. And in case of ties, I will roll a die. So that's how that will work. So that's a new benefit for you guys. And of course, we've been doing after hours episodes. I nearly drove Aaron mad with the latest one.
Yeah, he was channeling some Caleb rage there.
Yes. Dead Earth is a terrible game, and I inflicted quite a bit of it on him.
I've just descended into graphomania while you guys talk.
I did post that as the art for
as well you should.
Yeah. And you need to be a backer to check that out. In other news, I will be going to Comicpalooza for Memorial Day weekend, which is in Austin, Texas, and I will be running 2 Base Raider demos. You can go to their website and find out exactly when. One's on Thursday, one's on Friday. So, and I'll be selling copies of my book. You can go by my booth and harass me.
That's Bass Raiders?
Yes.
The fishing RPG?
Yes. It's set in that giant pyramid in Memphis where Bass Pro is set up. Have you seen that? Like their altar, their temple to fishing.
How great is that if you see that in the post-apocalyptic wasteland? Just a giant temple with a lake inside?
I'm kind of pissed that it is in Memphis.
This is where the old one.
If it was in the Lost, like that would have to be like some enclave or like zombie hell apocalypse.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll probably write in the book. Just flip. Flip it.
Just move it over. Yeah.
East Coast is gone now.
It was the Bass Pro. That was ground zero. So.
Yeah.
And so finally, also in Base Raiders news, Boiling Point is nearly done. The book, I'm just waiting for a proof copy from Drive-Thru RPG. As soon as I can get that and look it through, I will approve it and send out coupons for everybody who backed it, and the PDFs. And then I will start working on the stretch goals. Well, I've already started on them, but, focus more on that rather than getting the main book done. So, because I have limited time in the day. Anyway. But yeah, because Sparkles I've worked on. I'm about halfway done with that. So that I know you guys are looking forward to. Caleb, you're shaking your head.
I'm not looking forward to Sparkles.
There will have to be a one-shot about
Why would you pay to have Sparkles in your game when he's normally not in your game? I don't get that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll keep that in the focus group notes. So anyways, let's get on to Silent Legion. So Silent Legions is a horror role-playing game and by Kevin Crawford. And it's the whole premise of this is that, again, as I mentioned earlier, that, Cthulhu is great, but everyone knows it. Everyone knows the ins and outs. That's the Necronomicon. That's Divermus Mysterious. And how to kill... we need Elder Signs and Dynamite. So... this is to shake things up by creating easily to create your own mythos, your own pantheon of evil gods, your own cults, your own dimensional shadow realms, alternate universes, and other fun little bits. All with a very simple sort of old school Renaissance style game stapled onto it. But the random tables are easily usable in any horror game. I mean, like you don't...
Are we reviewing it now?
We should talk a little bit about the game itself.
Well, it's a really pretty book. I think it's really well put together and excellently laid out. Yeah. I also think it's really well written. There's great art in it much of which he has registered as public domain, hasn't he? Or Creative Commons.
Yeah, it's Creative Commons, but you can't use it for commercial products. You can get download art packs from Drive-Thru RPG with the interior artwork.
Which I think is a cool thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
I really like the aesthetic of, like, Lovecraftian, as in it doesn't have to be from Lovecraft. It could be like it. Obviously, that's up my wheelhouse. I personally would not choose to play the game part of it using the mechanics, because I think they're a little archaic, and I also think there's stuff that does horror better. So I would rather play this in, like, Nemesis or Unknown Armies or... Trail, or even just straight up Call of Cthulhu, because there's like class systems.
Yeah,
there's stuff that I don't really think fits very well at all. There's feats.
Yeah,
stuff that I don't think fits at all in a horror game, but maybe that's just my prejudices. But it's well worth a buy because the system is legit, like 15 to 20 pages of it, and everything else is, yo, dude, I heard you like random roll tables, so I put random roll tables inside your random roll tables. And they are all awesome and very well done.
Just a few notes. Kevin, in the beginning of the book, in explaining the rules of the game, while the framework of the system is drawn from certain classic role-playing games of the 70s and early 80s, you'll find these systems compatible with Stars Without Number, a sci-fi game, Other Dust, which I'm actually not familiar with, and Spears of Dawn, which is like an African themed D&D type game. All of Sin Nomine's games that provide additional options for evening games. So this is part of
it's part of his line.
Yeah, it's part of his game line. So
but I think our basic thesis for this episode is that it's worth buying or at least looking at.
Yeah.
Regardless of what system you intend on playing something.
One also note is that Silent Legion works with several different styles of gaming, but has been built specifically to support sandbox gaming. Rather than designing particular story arcs, Silent Legion gives the game master the tools they need to build a world of mystery and terror for the players to explore. So the players choose what they want to explore, and then you use the tables to generate that content. So,
later in the book, there's like D10 escape tables. Like you need an escape scene. There's D10 respite scenes. So you don't want your characters to die, so let them rest. Roll a D10. How do they rest? Like, it is very much planted
poorly.
It is very much planted on the fly and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So,
challenge scenes for specific character classes.
Yeah.
Which character classes are like tough, investigator, social. Like it's pretty broad that you could.
Yeah, very easily.
Without actually picking a class.
Very easily.
There's no corgi barbarians in it.
But you could add
6
that
out of 10, no corgi barbarian.
You could easily add that in.
Yeah.
Run the type of game that you want to. If you want to but never go full riffs. I mean, that.
Never go full riffs.
So, for that, I focused on creating a few things and then kind of figuring out a backstory, which I had in my head. I didn't fully write up, but I could explain what the alien and the cult that worships them does, but you rolled some things. So
I randomly generated everything and wrote nothing.
It's a different approach.
I have 7 pages of things I randomly rolled for and figured I'd just come up with it on the fly.
All right, so why don't we start with that?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, or do you want me to start with mine?
My brief was not complete, is what I want you to know, listeners. I was told roll a bunch, and by God, I did.
All right.
So there.
Okay.
So I rolled an entire pantheon of gods.
Oh, wow.
Ross.
All right.
So what you do in this, if you have Silent Legions, is that you roll a 1d4, and then that determines the number of dice you roll to determine the number of gods in your pantheon. So if you don't like dice rolls telling you to roll different dice for different rolls, you are in the wrong book, sir.
Yeah.
There's much of that. So I rolled my 1d4. I got 2d4 divided into 2 pantheons that are at war.
Oh,
so then I rolled 6 gods. So now I have 2 holy trinities of horrible nightmare gods.
Nice.
And it just arranged itself nicely. I got Pantheon traits, so there's a D20 for that. Another thing this book likes to do is to make lots of random roll tables, but it puts them on the same adjacent pages, and they like to vary the number of dice.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll have D8s and D8s, but more likely you'll have a D8 table, a D10 table, a D12 table, a D20 table, a D4 table, and you just use a hammer and break a chess X set and see what comes out. That's basically, and it's cool because you can just roll a big pool of dice. And that's
they also roll a d6. Oh, now roll a d8 to cross-reference your results.
Yes,
which I like.
So I got 4 runners, and the gods are not yet fully born, and will usher in a new age. So I figure if I have 2 pantheons, there's old gods and new gods.
Classic,
and they're at war. So I haven't figured that out yet. So then I rolled for names, which is at the back of the book and is insane. So first off, you roll a d10 to get your name structure. So my new gods, which is all I'm calling them. First one I got name. It's just the name. Then I got syllable name by apostrophes. And then I got name. So it's got 2 names. Whereas the old gods are syllable, that's it. Name, and name. So then you roll for a d6 plus 1, the number of syllables in the name, and I crit failed this because I got a billion 6s. So then they give you a table of just endless syllables. Nonsense syllables. You could do all consonants if you want to try and pronounce it. I stuck to vowels because I didn't want to go too far into unpronounceable stuff since I was just going to read this on air. And I got some crazy fucking names. So I got Bohahop, my favorite, Lutha Chaholgikutulyig, and Goligquathoyo. Those are all my new gods.
The new gods, all right.
And then I got the old gods, Do.
Do.
That's it.
Nice.
Like that one a lot.
No, that's a good one.
Azago Bohikuosovor.
Yeah.
And then Ogzalosu, another good one I like. So you're not done.
Yeah.
You have just started Pantheon creation. So from there, you move on to giving them, you give them traits and areas. I forget what they call them in the
portfolios.
Portfolios. So you give them a thing that they control. So it's usually some sort of animism or something about the natural world. And then you give them a epithet. And then from there, you roll random adjectives and nouns to throw into the name. So Bohap is the Oracle of Waiting Night, according to the dice.
Nice.
Whereas Luthacha Holge Quetulilig is the Ashen Feaster of Words. And Ango Liquithalioya is the Wailing Forest Ravener. Etdo is the Sagacious Deviser of Cold. Azago Bohikusavor is Anguish of the Yellow Hand and Discerner of Time. And then my favorite, Ogza Losu, is the Unknowable Growing Claw of the Sky Tyrant.
Nice.
Yeah, so those are all pretty good epithets to design a god around.
I did design one god, but it was Lethungim, Lethungloi, the Rotting Incarnator, who had a portfolio of the seas.
Nice.
So, so for me, I focused on just a few so I could, and then sort of figure out a backstory. So the first thing I did was actually create an alien species, because they have a lot there, and they not just like their backstory, but their physical traits. So my alien species has been how long have they been around? They've been around since the earliest ages of humanity.
Mine too.
Yeah. Why aren't they known? Their major works are elsewhere in the solar system. Let's see here. Their greatest remaining work are eldritch weapons, similar in appearance. They're exiles of their own kind. Humans are terrifying monsters, and they're persecuted by them. But their great project right now is climate change, changing it to shift it to their needs. So obviously that's their weapon, is weaponizing some sort of terraforming technology. The human group, why didn't they succeed? Some human group banded together to stop them. They lived apart, but go among humans at sometimes. They're advanced. They also have super science. They have, in one particular area, wherever the game is set, obviously, they have a temple to the Eldritch deity, obviously the Rotting Incarnator. They fear humans, will unite against them. Their minions are kin or heirs to ancestral servants, and that'll tie into the cult that I figured out. They value debasement and defilement of those beneath them.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I know, right? They despise directness, which sort of ties back. They seek to do all things secretly. And in terms of appearance, they're jellyfish-like, with many arms that telescope, telescoping arms. They have pus-filled sacks, like you do.
Again,
yeah.
Who doesn't?
They elaborately prepare their meal. They have a wet and slavering call, and they move in leaps and bounds and pretend to be prey in order to...
Mine too! Everything's pretending to be prey.
And they can move on solid surfaces due in defiance of gravity. I figure they're sacks.
So all of this, how does this make you write an alien species? So what background can you coalesce from this?
So they hate humans. They prize secrecy and hate directness. So, and they're exiles from their own kind. So there's some sort of offshoot or heretics like pilgrims. Only worse. So they show up on Earth and they don't like the climate. And because they're jellyfish-like, and maybe the Earth is too dry at that point, so they want to raise the oceans and just turn it into water world. And so they build their climate-changing, terraforming technology with their advanced technology. But a group of humans long ago banded together and stopped them. And so since then, they've been trying to restart their terraforming engines and work through that. So I figure that's their major goal. And they manipulate humans and use their technology to go among them. on occasion, but mostly, reside in coastal areas. And but they can't wait for the day that all humans are dead, when the air is replaced with carbon dioxide or something like that. So
sweet carbon dioxide.
Yeah. But this really ties in with the cult. But I'll get into that in a second. What else was different about your?
Well, so my aliens, I got a global network of underground structures.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason they're hidden is because they live on a different wavelength of reality. The reason that something happened to them was events spiraled beyond their controls, and then they view humans as, what did it say? A fine host for larvae and other offspring is what I rolled. So then I rolled their appearance, and they're like flappy, swollen, radial symmetry eels with acidic spit and no heads. And I'm like, okay, so they delved too dark and deep, phased themselves out of reality. They can only come in for pieces at a time. They can control humans to some way. So their wombs, which were humans before they got ported to other realities, grew out of control. So do the full Lovecraft, like you were alien tools once.
Right.
So they're trying to get back. But the thing is, the more they breed within the wombs, the surviving bloodlines can last longer and longer in our reality. So they're trying to breed themselves back into our reality, because subsequent genealogic timelines of crazy otherworldly worm spitters can last longer in like hard reality than the other ones. So that's why they are phasing in and controlling us to eugenically place themselves back in our reality as rightful rulers of the earth. So that was my thought.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that.
But I did not incorporate everything into the from the random roll table, because I think that's one thing to note on a Silent Legion.
Yeah.
Take the evocative stuff and leave the rest, or change it.
Yeah, because
if you try and do everything at once, it's going to be exhausting.
Yeah, and look for. I mean, it's okay to you don't have to religiously follow the roles too. Like, I know for my cult, I changed one role, I think, because I thought it was more appropriate. Certainly, so the cult. I love the naming generator for this too, because there's a naming generator for it as well, and mine was object laud. Like laudatory and master. So it was Vision of the Benevolent Queen is the name of my cult. And
I had Hand of the Ancient Master.
Ooh.
Which sounds like a kung fu school.
It does. Or a sequel to Manos, Hands of Fate.
Yeah.
But my cult, the Vision, has been around since ancient times. Very old. Founded by a scientist or artisan who had unearthly machines, which obviously ties into the aliens that I have, because they're super science too. And I think this is the thing I changed. I had them interbreeding with the alien entity, because jellyfish with multiple arms can't really go among humans that well. So obviously there's some hybrids that
they can sex them up real good.
Exactly. Let's see here. But their own, they fell because of internal strife. They had a lot of internal strife in their early history, which also ties into the values of the aliens, because the aliens hate directness and prize secrecy. And their recruits were early peasants, so this was sort of a proletariat party. But they were popularized early on because of corruption. In a faith drew many to this new cult. So obviously in ancient times there was a drought or something like that, and the peasants were wowed by the one artisan who built a rain-making machine, and they started worshiping that, I would imagine. They meet in caves and tunnels, or they met in caves and tunnels in ancient times, and they are coldly rational. They are only in it to win it, in it for their own benefit, which also, kind of ties with the aliens. And today they meet in an art gallery or someplace with a special occult reference. And I love things. One of my favorite tables of this cult thing is like, what's different about the cultists physically? Like, what's something they do? And it says they're unable to see certain objects, or they're unable to see objects of a certain color. Which actually, I figured not only that, change that a little bit and make it to where those objects are intangible to them. So you could have, and this could be the way that their entrance to a secret door. So you could have like a big red painting of a queen in the art gallery, but to the cultists, it's invisible and they can walk through it because they're cultists. And that's how they know that cultist is real now, because you can walk through the queen. That's the vision of the benevolent queen.
Nice.
So, I like that kind of twist to it. So
like a hidden level in Bloodborne.
Yeah, there you go. They're controlled by twisted love, family ties. So obviously,
Want a bone of jellyfish?
Yeah, exactly.
That seems legit.
And that could also explain why they can't see objects.
Stop kink shaming them, Ross.
Well, I'm just saying that's why genetically they can't see objects of a certain color. They're governed by a council of priests that are constantly infighting with each other. So there's a lot of internal strife. The cult's goal, though, they're probably pretty decadent, so they just want money. They just want wealth. But here's the thing that really ties this whole thing together. It makes it a campaign. This particular one. What is their advantage? What is their special, unique advantage? They have control over media and the newspapers. And so, remember, the aliens want climate change. So this is the Koch brother cult that is trying to deny climate change. Like, no, keep pouring shit into the atmosphere. We can't get our eldritch super terraforming tech to work, so we'll just, approximate it with crappy Earth tech. So I figure their important NPC is a mad sorcerer with sorcery, obviously, and their petty NPCs are ambitious young academics. Obviously, those scrubs writing climate changing denial papers for various newspapers. So I figured that's the campaign, is like, it's about perception and secrecy in a lot of ways, like there's this, the way they can perceive certain things and the way, they use the media to control people and they can't see objects, and the aliens themselves are so addicted to secrecy and infighting that they can't get their shit together to, wipe us all out. Thank God. And so that's how humans have a chance, is we can unite against them and be direct and just, get the lynch mob started with the torches and pitchforks and, burn down the art gallery. So
nice.
That's sort of what I was thinking of. But
so my cult was kind of similar. I rolled some, ancient days. I had a scholar that learned too much and spoke too widely. They once destroyed an organization of investigators, all that kind of stuff. Their problem is being branded as heretics, and their early recruits are the ruling class, desirous of more power, and their motivation is famine and hunger builds the cult. So I assume that as like famine and hunger of like a metaphorical sense, because they're ruling classes.
Yeah.
So the manifests is different than the roots. So I got stuff like they meet in the backs of clubs, bars, and social venues. They're largely rational, but they have demented needs. They require something unwholesome for nourishment, which writes itself. They control members with blackmail, like so blood in, blood out kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They have a high priest and lieutenants. But their craving, and this is what really got me thinking, was the destroying another cult or its parent group. So I'm thinking my cult is like, since I have old gods and new gods, Vatican I and Vatican II. So the Hand of the Ancient Master worships Ogzalosu, the unknowable growing claw of the Sky Tyrant, which is a very much... it's like an Old Testament interpretation of the Bible. So that's why they were persecuted by members of the church. They think that God doesn't love you. God didn't send anyone to help you. God is a unknowable growing hand coming to destroy you from the sky, and you must show him that you have strength and destroy others for it. And it's all about blood. All very old school. But I think that new members of the Hand of the Ancient Master are really worshiping Lutha, the Ashen Feaster of Words, who has destroyed the meaning of their texts. Because Lutha destroys meaning. He's like the opposite of Not East that I wrote in Revelations, who makes meaning from words. He exists as a postmodern monster. His entire focus is to destroy the meaning of words and just make
like a Pontypool kind of thing.
Yeah, just make them meaningless sounds. So Lutha is stealing Ogzalosu's cultists, and so they're trying to root each other out, Vatican I, Vatican II style. So that'd be my campaign string. There's a conspiramid, but it's trying to kill each other. So how do the investigators exploit that to tip the balance?
I like that. Your Sky Tyrant cult sounds like they one of their rituals could be summoning the Fisher of Men.
It could be, yeah.
So
you could design monsters in this system too, if you want. Yeah.
But I really like that. I think, and you can see how you just even a couple of sort of similar themes pop up in some of these random roles, and suddenly you see a campaign theme that's kind of compelling.
Yeah, because it's very much cosmicism is noir. It's a genre.
Yeah,
and you don't have to use deep ones every time.
Exactly, and also thematically, both of our concepts are very different. In some ways similar, but in some ways different. Like mine is secrecy versus directness. Like, can you find the people who are spreading lies about the climate or whatever, and find out where their alien lords are, and shoot them, or put them to the sword. And yours are I
think mine's very much unknowable, unbearable lightness of being.
It's more like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Well, there's that, but it's also unbearable lightness of being. There's meaning with Oig-Zalusu, the Sky Tyrant. It's terrible meaning, and it's horrible and oppressive and awful. And then there's no meaning at all, which is just a void of nothingness, and why do anything? You have these two cults that have these differing views of reality, whereas for the investigators, it'd be both those versions of reality totally suck, and it doesn't matter which one wins. It definitely won't be whatever version we want.
Yeah, that's true.
But either way, we're screwed. That would be the cosmicism. It's everything means stuff, and you're meaningless, or your meaning is to be destroyed by it, or stuff means stuff, and nothing means anything at all. It's either you're pointless and insignificant, or you're insignificant and doomed. Yeah. So.
I like that. But you said you generated one of everything, right?
Yes.
All right.
I generated one of everything. So I don't know. I generated a Dreamlands. They have the Kelipot.
Yes.
They call that.
Those are the Shadow Realms, alternate universes I was talking about earlier.
I made a spell.
What about an artifact?
I didn't make an artifact.
All right. Let's talk about the artifacts.
All right. So the artifacts, what I like is that you roll where the artifact came from.
Yeah.
And then you roll its curse, and then you get to decide what kind of artifact it is. So it came from somewhere, and it's definitely cursed. But what does it do after that? Then it can be protective or magical. So I made a grimoire.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. So I had that it was mentioned in some books. The great deed was the destruction of an entire community. That they artifacted. It was created during the time of an ancient empire. It was invented by a mad scientist. Why? Blind purpose of the creator's madness. And it was lost along with the maker journeying to distant lands.
So if you blow up a community, you kind of have to...
Yeah, so that's the
you
origin.
Have to leave, yeah.
The curse is significant, so it doesn't instantly kill you, but it will always affect you.
Yeah.
The basic effect is that it induces a compulsion, but you can just take that any number of ways.
No.
So I'm going to say that it's with my cult, since they have to require something unwholesome.
Yeah.
They need to feast off, I don't know, human flesh... Fingernails, something gross.
Yeah.
The frequency is almost constant, so that works out. The suppression is impossible to suppress. That's what I rolled. And then the triggers are whenever rituals aren't performed to appease it. So basically, you indulge the compulsion or it gets worse.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing a grimoire of the creator. I rolled the name, and I got Secret Terrible Master, so it worked out. The condition is spattered by the result of arcane workings. The tenor is a terrified retelling of the author's experience. So I figured that it is a mad scientist who discovered the cult of Oig-Zalusu, the Sky Tyrant, and learned their evil ways. But in recording them sociologically, he accidentally created a meme virus that perpetuates their dark message throughout history. So in warning about these guys, basically every Lovecraftian theme ever, in being warned about the thing you're not supposed to know, you know the thing you're not supposed to know, and therefore are doomed.
Rocco's basilisk. Or
The
King in Yellow.
Yeah, basically. In telling me about the Mountains of Madness, I'm now screwed.
Yeah.
Even though I may or may not have been planning to go already.
Yeah.
So I figured that's it. And it's also... Now, this was a little weird. There's a form and there's a manuscript, and what I assume they mean by that is how you find it and how it was originally written.
Yeah.
Like, so I rolled form on, and I got cheaply printed on smudged paper, but on manuscript, I got illuminated parchment with rich inks and drawings. But I really like the idea that it's just a shitty Kinko's copy of like an ancient monastic text that still is somehow terrible and awful. Like, evil radiates from its brass clippings and 3-hole punched pages.
Yeah, so it's on page 86 if for those of you with the PDF or book. What form does it take? It goes from 1, a huge and massive manuscript tome, to 10, an artifact that doesn't look like a book.
Yeah.
And the manuscript, what is it made from? 1, ordinary book materials for its time and place, and to 12, an inexplicable alien substance with strange properties. So, yeah, put together, you could get some pretty
weird,
nonsensical results. But
I like the idea that it's like, no, it's, the Voynich text, but someone just scanned it. But it's still totes evil, even though it's on 1980s printer paper.
Yeah.
It's still got the little chads attached to it. Like, everything's green scale,
Yeah. So what can it actually do?
Well, it's a grimoire, so you can learn the spells of the book, or it can make the spell. You can randomly roll for what spells do, which I absolutely would do if you got a grimoire.
Yeah.
If we were doing, I may do it if you get grimoire for anything ever. Is randomly rolls what spells are in it. So I got Dream Chant of the Lesser Gods, which perks out perfectly. You roll for names.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Of course.
You roll for the purpose. It says it communicates with an entity. And how it does that is a slave's mind is merged with another. So I don't know who the slave is. Maybe you, maybe somebody else. It gives the form of a gift from an alien god. So it basically is your Contact Cthulhu spell.
Yeah.
And then takes a petty. So you can take an hour to cast. So kids can just be contacting the lesser gods all day.
Ego merging with Cthulhu.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Nothing.
Yay. So
maybe it's a spell to contact Bohaup, the Oracle of Waiting Night, and he removes memories or something. So you merge with him to remove painful memories, and so you get Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Only instead of
you have to start eating fingernails.
Yeah, instead of eating fingernails or Jim Carrey, you get a Norba Eldritch building.
Yeah,
which is probably preferable to Jim Carrey.
Or you could get access to that Shadow Realm or that Dream Realm you were talking about.
Yeah. So I think I rolled the Dreamlands.
Oh, really?
Like, it was pretty weird. I got world-sized.
Yeah.
It's a tundra. There's earthquakes. The land spews acidic or noxious gas. The plants are carnivorous. And the fauna plots against humans.
I don't think that's quite the Dreamlands.
I like squirrels in the snow. Like, we'll get them soon. Soon.
They will feed the pines.
Yes, exactly. But the inspiration is medieval Europe. The society is frozen. It can only die. It can never change. There are many cities. It's at a Renaissance level of technology. Sorcery is deplored and despised. There are 2 near equal or totally mismatched factions. It's an oligarchy. They value fanaticism. They desire the restoration of the old days. Attitude towards outsiders is exploitative. They are to be tricked or enslaved into servitude. And the culture is rigid caste divides the populace. And I already played Senseless Land. I had Man, and I think I was there. Like,
well, it depends. There were some areas that were nice. I mean, like,
it just depends on your roles. But I think I got
Ulthar was nice with all the talking cats and whatnot.
Yeah, well, obviously, you could vacation in Ulthar.
Yeah.
But Kelly Pot, my random roll, I think it spit out the Dreamlands. Like, I think you could get others.
Yeah, the frozen ways of Kadath. Essentially, you just go north of go north a little. The wastelands around the mountain of Kadath. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Certainly. So, I mean, were there any other really highlights of your random rolls, or were those kind of the...
No, I think the Pantheon's interesting. Like, if you're making up a brand new Pantheon of gods, because they're really not going to show up in Cosmicism, so it's really just like motivations for your cult rolls and your flavor text for your spells and that kind of stuff. So I like that it's in there, but it's basically like item descriptions in Bloodborne. Like, there's a deep story behind it that's you're not going to have time to read because you're busy dodging for your fucking life as a werewolf tries to eat you. Like, oh, it's all lovely that my hat says that on the inside, apparently. My face is being eaten, but...
You could go back to the chapel or someplace to read.
But that's basically it. Like, you could find a text, but... Mainly, that's just why those cultists are trying to shoot at you in the game. Yeah. You need to not be shot first.
So, I mean, listening from this, you can see that random rolls can create. I mean, we make fun of a lot of games that have random rolls, and there's sort of a fine line between when to use them and when not to use them. I think is the main point. Because,
I think this is a perfect case of when to use them because, it's a dark game. And you only use it to generate the game world.
Yeah.
Random rolls get comic the second you use them to generate a character to play it. I think that's the general rule. Like, so.
Well, I mean, Eclipse Phase is a random character path that can work.
Yeah, but that's been based on like pre-existing character stuff that you can choose. Like, there's nothing in the random character path that you can't just build by choice.
Yeah.
And the game starts building it by choice. This is like, I think you could build a very dark cultists eating fingernails and destroying all meaning, or worm people, or sex jellyfish, and like very gross, like
trying to inflict climate change.
Trying to inflict very gross, bleak stuff, and it's all random roll tables. This book is entirely random roll tables. But what you don't do is you don't randomly roll to find out your sky parents sold you into slavery for reasons. You don't randomly roll like Dead Earth and suddenly realize that radiation is giving you the power of angelic protection or bureaucracy. I feel like the second you make random roll generation for like any length of character creation, you're asking for like gamma world levels of, I'm a metal cockroach. What are you? I'm a cockroach made of other cockroaches. What are you? I'm a
I mean, and that's the thing. The thing about random roll tables is role playing games I've always said are always about collaborative efforts between the players and the GM. And when you use random roll tables, you're collaborating between you, the dice, and the guy who wrote the tables. And so you have to trust the quality of the person writing this. I mean, Kevin Crawford here has written some pretty solid material. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, you get something like Dead Earth, which is written by people who have a madman sense of game design, or you get things that are comedic but totally unusable for games. And so the lesson is to have a light touch and to know the material and when to use it and when not to. And so it's about the quality of the writing.
Yeah, and if your players are going to be random, you're running a comedy whether you realize it or not. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
like, because look at the character creation in this game. It is so OSR.
Yeah,
build this and this, do this and this. Like, you're picking everything. Everything is very careful. You're building this certain type of character. You're picking feats. I don't think it's great for a horror game, but your characters are not going to be whackety schmackety do like Lady Gaga 2.0 kind of random roll characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the stuff, when the world is randomly rolled, that is, like you say, dependent upon the writer and that kind of stuff. There's also rolls for like randomly generating location tags for places. I thought those were very interesting. Like places to describe places. So like corrupt clergy, or uneducated
tags,
or
black market, cult beachhead, horrific wealth.
Yeah.
These are just the titles. Terrible pact, traitorous hunters, exploitative industry, entrenched poverty. So yeah, like these give, and they have like.
But notice they're all bleak. No, there's like great place to raise kids isn't on there.
Clown college. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that.
Okay, fair enough.
That's a 99. That's a crit fail on the location tag.
All right, bad example. So. You have this, and like going back to like the challenges you were mentioning earlier. So you have like investigator challenges and scholar challenges and like tough challenges. So like challenge.
Those are all actual character classes in there. Like there's a tough and there's a scholar and that.
Yeah, like a tough challenge would be like a vigilant watchman hired to keep out outsiders, while for the investigator, the site only has one easily usable entrance. So, or a scholar challenge would be like the pattern of meaning in seemingly random written texts. So,
and you don't need those classes to use that. And I could use that for red markets now because I know which of you are intelligent characters and which of you are faceman and which of you are Tom, and you want to just hit something with a hammer and glare silently at it.
But he's not that scary. That's the thing. He didn't put any points into intimidation.
Well, that would be points not in hammering things.
Or muscles.
He's a man of action.
and
protein playing
shakes.
On his phone.
Yeah.
Rather than talking.
So yeah, I hope that I just want to give you guys a little break from we do a lot of game advice and stuff like that. So I figured a little creative writing exercise or creative game design challenge exercise would be fun.
And you should get this book if you like Cthulhu-y stuff.
Yeah, I mean, surprise the shit out of your players. Like make some shit up and be like, oh, that's a King of Yellow cult.
Just pretend it's Lovecrafted. Just spout off this nonsensical string of syllables when you roll a 6. On the
Sky
table.
Tyrant.
Yeah, and just like, you didn't read that story?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Ramsey Campbell one. Don't worry about it. You must have missed it.
Yeah. So we'll be back, and when we're back, we'll have some shout-outs and anecdotes. And we're back. I have no idea what music that was, but I'm sure it was great. Because I haven't chosen it yet for the episode.
There's a good podcast in there, Ross.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm not. Hey, I change up the music. I don't get one song and that's the entire podcast music. I'm not lazy like that. I choose new music that's Creative Commons license so I can use it for free.
You could be like Freakonomics and have somebody record dad jazz and mix it over every single word.
Yeah, no, maybe not. Like, you're welcome, listeners, because I don't do that.
I also appreciate that.
So for shout-outs, first off, I'd like to mention a webcomic that is actually reminding me of Base Raiders. It's called The Last Mechanical Monster, and it's based on a public domain cartoon, Superman cartoon. And the cartoon was about Superman fighting a mad scientist who built all these robots who were stealing things, and that robot tried to throw Lois Lane into lava, and of course Superman saves the day, beats up all the robot, the guy goes to jail. The comic is about the guy being released like 60 years later. He's like 100 years old, but he's still full of piss and vinegar. He's like, I'm going to build my robot and rob banks with it. But his robots are built with vacuum tubes, but have artificial intelligence. So, and nobody found his base in all the years that he was in prison. So it's about him, going down to the electronic shop, trying to get vacuum tubes and dealing with people. And it's just, it's a really good comic.
It's right up your alley.
Yeah, I know. It's made for me, but it was nominated for an Eisner Award for Best Webcomic.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and speaking of quality things, you want to...
Everyone should go buy The Witcher 3. If you don't own a PS4, you should go buy The Witcher 3 for PS4, and then you should buy a copy for a PC you may or may not own, because we need to support this. So here's my pitch. I know it's a huge AAA game. That's why you should go buy it. So CD Projekt Red, their next game is Cyberpunk 2020. So there's an RPG synergy tie-in right there. They're literally making a video game of that crazy, crazy-ass system. Reason the 2. So it's a AAA project. You may not have played The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 1, and I don't care. Because in The Witcher 3, there's going to be stuff in the box. Not the special edition, just the regular box. You get like a guide to the game. They put like printed materials in it that aren't like advertisers for terrible games you don't want to play. The DLC is all guaranteed free. So it's not like, say, Arkham Knight, where you have to spend $100 to get the game. Instead of $60 where you get the pieces of the game they didn't chop off and keep away from you. It is so free DLC. That's amazing. They've already released review copies, so you don't have to wait till day 4 or buy it on launch day and be pissed when everybody comes out 4 days later and tells you it sucks. Because they're already there. You can go to GameStop, you can go to IGN, you can go to any number of actual trustworthy YouTube reviewers and see what they think of it. And why aren't you buying this game? Like, these are the only people doing things right. If they wanted to give you a demo of it, it would just be a demo. They wouldn't make you pay for it and then wait forever for a game which may or may not return. It's not on Steam Greenlight, so it's not some random piece of hate crime that someone put up without any review process. It is everything in the gaming industry that needs to be supported by money, except for the fake girl tits and fan service. So
yeah, there's
the horrible sexism.
Yeah.
But let's face it, that's in all those other games that are screwing your wallet over too. Let's go one at a time. So the reason I want to play The Witcher, distant 5 or 6, is like actually want to play the game. I like the thought of hunting monsters. I'm going to be playing it when Sarah walks in and there's going to be a bunch of computer-titted girls running around the screen, and it's going to be awkward, and I'm going to feel bad about myself, and I'm going to wonder why they did that when they didn't have to, because it's going to be superfluous, and it's going to be totally unnecessary to the story. I know this going in because I played the second one, but, I mean, come on, like, even they acknowledge women exist, better than the latest Assassin's Creed, which you couldn't play one, because girls can't stab people too, like... There's Ubisoft and EA, and then there's these guys. And if you're going to give money to somebody, you should give it to these guys. Because I haven't even played it yet. But, like, if it was Paint Drying Simulator 18, and it was a AAA game, and they released it with, like, actual sane business practices that aren't, like, akin to selling housing to Polish workers in the meatpacking district of turn-of-the-century Chicago, like...
They actually are a Polish development team.
Exactly. Yeah. They know how that feels, and they don't want to do it to you. So, I don't know. I do tabletop gaming stuff, and I read a lot about video games at the same time, and I'm one of the only people in RPPR who's ever heard of a console. So,
sorry.
I would like to support somebody who's not doing the terrible shit that has ruled the entire gaming industry for years now, and I find it just remarkably refreshing that they're not doing that.
I've heard the novels that they're based on are pretty good, but there's only a few English translations available. Like, they're originally Polish novels too. So
I find The Witcher's world to be like a little too intense because it's so based on the novels.
Yeah,
and they're like Nilfgaard in the age of Gefiltefax and the Holdebird.
A lot of world building,
a lot of proper nouns that I don't know. But they're fun to play.
There's a Tolkien name generator there.
Yeah, they're fun to play, and it's open world, and I don't have to go into the cities where horrible sexist stereotypes are going to be thrown in my face. I can go in the woods and kill horrible freak monsters for money.
Hey.
That's going to be my game.
Because you're American, and violence is better.
Well, I mean, they're not even humans. I don't have to kill humans if I don't want to.
You're othering. God, yeah.
I probably will talk my way around it. Let's face it, it is an RPG.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to mash my speech skill if they give that option. Like, sword fighting, rhetoric to the max.
All right. Fair enough. I want to mention another video game that's coming out, another RPG, actually, that's just come out, Chroma Squad, which was early access, I believe, but it's been normally fully released. And it is essentially your group of stunt actors who form, or like, screw you, Sentai Studio, you're business practices are terrible. We'll form our own Sentai studio with blackjack and hookers, only not blackjack and hookers because this is a PG title. But we'll fight stuntmen and so they do this kind of interesting mechanic where it's you actually have to fight them in turn-based combat, but you're fighting stuntmen or whatever. But so there's kind of a blurring between the reality of filming the show and the reality of being Sentai warriors and fighting, monsters and that kind of thing. And so you upgrade your studio, like you upgrade your microphones, or you upgrade your studio lights to shine them in the enemy's head so they get a negative to their dodge and counterattack abilities. You craft weapons out of
So you use meta to fight fictional monsters?
Yes. Your crafting materials like duct tape and glitter and vinyl, and so an alien cardboard, and your mecha is just a guy in a suit. So it has some interesting mechanics to it. That's got some pretty. It's a very comedic sort of lighthearted game. I'm about 2/3 through with it, and there's 5 seasons. 5 major levels each. Episode is one level, and you have to spend money on marketing and that kind of thing in order to build an audience, in order to get your contract, to get more funding. My only complaint is really I put it on normal difficulty. It's ridiculously easy so far. I kind of wish I put it on hard, just because I'm not a challenge. I'm I have to beat everything at the highest difficulty possible. But it's just so easy. It's not even the first few levels. It's so easy. I mean, it's starting to get challenging, so it's kind of hard to figure out what the difficulty curve. If it's going to get, I don't know if it's going to totally ramp it up in the last act, or something like that. So
my copy of Bloodborne is laughing at you.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not Bloodborne at all. So I kind of wish there was a little more challenge to it. So I don't know. I'm having fun with it, and it's only $15 on Steam. So
I know nothing about this game.
Yeah.
And knew nothing about it when Ross planned out the episode. But he said, Chroma Squad, have you heard of this? Aaron played it for 13 hours the first day of release. And I'm like, is it about Power Rangers? And it turned out it was about Power Rangers. Knowing nothing about it, a title, and Aaron's number of play hours. Got it in one.
Thank you, Noah, for our RPPR listener who gifted both of us a copy of it. I think Aaron's planning to do some Railery episodes about it. Big surprise there. So Gail's just kind of nodding, yep. Let's see. You got another game you've been playing on your console.
Yes, I've been playing Helldivers.
Yeah,
it is insanely fun.
Yeah.
If you've not played it, the basic premise of Helldivers is Starship Troopers, just totally ripping off everything from Starship Troopers, the movie. Nothing to do with the novels. Just the insane social satire of it. Super Earth is having a war for democracy against 3 different alien races. And you go to different planets and you unlock them. So you drop and you get different weapons and stuff like that. But there's usually pretty long reload times. And you have a finite amount of ammo. So the way you get through the higher difficulties is you drop in stratagems. So stratagems are mech suits and tanks and additional ammo and upgraded weapons. But you start with them, but you have to airdrop them in using contra codes on the D-pad. And then when you airdrop them in, depending on how you upgraded them, they will be better or they will come faster so you don't have to wait as long. Best part of the game, when you drop in stratagems, they don't give a shit who is underneath them. So you kill each other as often as the aliens kill you. And in order to drop in a new Helldiver to replace the guy, you have to do a stratagem in which they are also launched at the Earth from orbit. So the map in this bullet hell in every direction, you're being shot at by monsters, you're shooting them. You could shoot each other because friendly fire is always on. Yeah. There's just shit raining down from the sky that you absolutely need, but you're just ripping each other to pieces. And it's really fun. And then the entire time your characters are screaming, have a taste of liberty for democracy.
It sounds highly entertaining.
Yeah, freedom never sleeps.
Of course,
and they're just screaming constant propaganda while they're just firing at all these alien monsters. So
you do.
Yeah, and it's really, really hard at the higher levels if you're not leveled up and you don't have guys with good stratagems. or you just have dudes team killing you. But team killing is like 90% of the fun of the game.
Yeah, of course.
So that's like a $20 console.
I mean, that's
game.
not like how I thought about Killing Floor. Killing Floor is a co-op game, but you win if you're the last one alive and everyone has to watch you kill the last 100 monsters of the wave. You're just running around with a pistol, plinking them like, I'm a medic, I'm faster. All these monsters, they can't kill me, but it'll take me 35 minutes to kill them all. And if you assholes want to beat this level because you're terrible, you have to wait for me.
You're a monster.
Hey, I had to suffer through that too. Everyone does, but it's totally worth it. I mean, sometimes even when you're watching it's great because it becomes this operatic thing. Will he survive?
I did enjoy it with the Santa skin.
Yeah,
I came in one time and Santa was fighting the monsters single-handedly, and it was damn entertaining.
Yeah, no, the Santa was like the alcoholic Santa. Yeah. He
won.
Yeah.
He took him down.
Oh, of course. I would like to mention a couple other things. Drum and Bass Radio. It's a streaming station that plays drum and bass radio. Drum and bass music. It's good to listen to when you're writing or something like that. And then of course the Milkwood trilogy.
Milkweed.
Huh?
Milkweed.
Milkweed. Sorry, yeah, Milkweed. Yeah. I finished the last two novels of it, Colder War and Necessary Evil. You're on...
I'm most of the way through Necessary Evil.
Yeah. Book 2 and 3, the first one that we did was Bitter Seeds, and I reviewed it a while ago. I finally got around to reading the last two books. Highly worth it, in my opinion.
Really genre premise with a very literary execution.
Lots of good World War II era tradecraft.
Very well researched.
Yeah.
And it's not like fan servicey. There's not like big knockdown drag out fight scenes that you think you'd see, but like the fight scenes are brutal and heinous.
Oh man, they get so brutal.
And like the uses of the powers and the stuff like that's
the
great.
Effects of the powers on the poor. You feel a little bad for Gretel at certain points.
Yeah,
so.
And then Indolins are awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
And so both of those are worth reading. Certainly, of course, if you didn't like Bitter Seeds, you're not going to like the next two, probably.
Yeah. Probably start with the first one.
Yeah, start with the first one. And finally, Other Space, which is a new series on Yahoo, which is a comedy series starring a bunch of people you've never heard of before, but also Joel Hodgson and Trace Ballou from Mystery Science Theater 3000. And it's like The Office, but in space. And
Star Trek, if everyone was as inept as Kirk.
Yeah, if they're terrible people, self-obsessed and egotistical and lazy as Kirk. So it's been highly entertaining.
Yes, quite.
And so for anecdotes, for the Red Market stuff, we've been playtesting the campaign for Caleb, but we will talk about that in Game Designers Workshop. We'll record an episode of that soon. So hold on for that. But we have been playing a lot of other games, and I mentioned the Plays a Thing. And I kind of don't want to give an anecdote for that because there's so much.
Yeah.
The bouncy castle is really all you need to know. Like, if you can get a sense of that, then you can see how it would go with RPPR. But I would like to mention a game that Melissa from the Masks and Nyarlathotep group ran. Caleb didn't get to play it, but I know you want to play it.
So disappointed. You were telling about it. You showed me pictures, and I was just...
No, the reason why there's pictures is because she ran a mystery, but she likes Agatha Christie. So she ran an Agatha Christie British mystery.
So awesome.
She replaced stability with sensibility. So anytime we do something that would break 1930s British decorum, we'd have to roll against that. So like reading a 19-year-old maid's diary was caused a sensibility.
What happens if you took an insanity? Like, did you scoff?
I don't know. Like, we didn't get that far.
Monocle break?
I actually...
Oh, I rolled monocle break. No.
I didn't ask. So I think maybe you confessed to whatever you were doing, because that's how we got the bad guy. We won. We got all the evidence. We got the bad guy to confess. And
parlor scene.
Yeah, and parlor scene.
No, you never actually have to do any
no
police
fighting.
work. They just give up once you show them their crime.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened, and it was great. It was set in Brighton Lodge in East Sussex, and there were maids and a tennis pro, and just like,
you have to warn me next time you're doing that.
Yeah, there's a cork board. Like, that was the main thing. She had a cork board with photos and names of all on index cards of all the major people in the mystery, and we like pinned them on the cork board and like drew lines between them. I mean, it was amazing. So I'm totally going to use that. that, and she's going to run more. And so next time she does, we'll have to get you in then.
Totes.
Yes. Aaron was not there for that because she wanted
Billsworth is coming back after the war. Solving mysteries. Being unperturbed by everything.
Let's see here.
When in doubt, just British your way through it.
Oh, British the shit out.
British hard.
Yeah. And finally, I ran an online game. I'll post the MP3 of that soon. It's on the RPPR podcast if you want to listen to it through YouTube. Called Subi Reef. It's an artificial island. Well, it's the reef is in the South China Sea, which is basically China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia all claim the same area because there's lots of resources there. And there's vague law and there's no clear-cut victor. So the Chinese strategy is to build artificial islands there. And just like, see, we got naval person there and just hope someone will attack them so they have justification to go to war. So, real stable. So they have these artificial islands like radar stations.
It's really just the first page of China's playbook.
Yeah. But so I basically, because it's an artificial island, and they're dredging stuff up from the bottom of the ocean to build these islands to a certain degree. Like, well, why don't, you have all these Sargasso Sea, like, ships lost in the middle of nowhere. Why not have the artificial islands get disappeared into another hell dimension, like that? So that's what happened to the player characters. But they were tempted between, mysterious voices on the radio were telling them they could become immortal if they, use the experimental equipment that the Chinese secret police installed on the island instead of...
That's what I do on my CB radio every night. Yeah. Random truckers.
Yeah.
You can become immortal. Eat a tuna sandwich from the Flying J.
But the anecdote, I think the best part was at one point, they see it, like, when they got into Hell Dimension, they see a wrecked American ship, and they decide to go over it. So they have this little Zodiac-type boat, and they go over that. And then, of course, there's a monster on it and a crazy person. They rescue the crazy person, the monster's chasing them. And then, like, I climb on the boat. What'd you roll? 99. Well, it flips over. Good job. Then the other person, I will shoot my minigun at the monster. Okay, don't roll badly. Oh, you... roll badly. All right, everyone else roll dodge checks.
I feel like every scenario at sea ends with everyone drowning and dying.
Well, I don't want to spoil what happens in this one, so you just need to listen to the MP3. That will be on the Patreon. That will be public. Anyone can download. You don't have to be a backer to get that. Were there any other anecdotes for? I mean, aside from Red Mark, because that's all you've been playing lately. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and play this thing, which Bouncy Castle.
You'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. This has been RPPR episode 114, Create a Cthulhu. Thank Caleb for showing up. And,
yes, thank me.
We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.